Muathe with Muathe.com. Just taking a look at a stock that we were trying to play beginning part of 2016 during this breakout here. So there was a breakout attempt that was taking place and the stock was of interest because of this. But take a look at what happened subsequently is it failed to hold after closing above the previous monthly closing high. It failed to move higher. In fact, you can see that from this failed breakout, it would eventually drop. So we can see here that failed breakouts are notorious for taking stocks lower. Now this is the monthly chart. You can see that also on the weekly. If you take this weekly closing high here, the stock failed to break out. It failed to even get to this level during this breakout attempts here. And here we can see it went above it during the week but did not close above that. And you can see after the failed breakout here, it subsequently rolled over and has since been down. So the moral of this story with markets at all-time highs is that we have to be careful whenever we see a stock attempt to break out and fail. It is this failed breakout that leads to people getting a little bit suspicious that it doesn't have what it takes, and people get out of such instruments, and eventually ultimately what happens is you get this pullback. So be aware, failed breakouts are notorious for taking stocks lower, and at the same time successful breakouts are the reason why stocks advance. Here we can see a good example when the stock broke out here. So this entry, this breakout also corresponded with the minimum requirements being met. So let's take a look at that breakout sometime in March of 2015. So this was the weekly closing high. You see here that the price breaks out, and that corresponds nicely with this time period here. So let's take a look at the technicals during this window. So let me adjust this slightly because we want to capture this window, this weekly move here. So that window of time, we see that there was a price breakout, which is what we are looking for always. So the RSI also would be moving to all-time highs during that period, which is one of our minimum requirements. Remember, for an IPO, you have to go to the time frame that has fully developed indicators. Here the monthly chart was not fully developed during this breakout. It is only the weekly that had fully developed RSIs and MACDs. So we use the same minimum requirements on the monthly, on the weekly for an IPO that has fully developed weekly technical indicators. So RSI here moves to all-time highs, one of our minimum requirements, and we can see that that also corresponded with the MACDs during that time frame, moving to all-time highs. On the secondary MACD, the default MACD also moved to all-time highs, so we can see that it met our minimum requirements in terms of RSI and MACDs. So with that price breakout, you can see that because it stayed above the previous weekly closing highs here, once it broke out, it never looked back, and that's why it was a successful breakout. Stock would go on to record higher levels. Unfortunately, when we were trying to play it this January, it failed, and so you can see the weekly failed there. But more importantly, since we were playing the monthly chart also failed. As you can see, this breakout on the monthly did not lead to any follow-through. So failed monthly breakout attempt here, failed monthly breakout, and a failed monthly breakout ultimately has led to this drop. For those of you who still follow the stock, one thing I do notice here on the weekly is we are still contending with resistance short term based on the RSI top side coming into play. As you can see right now, stock's been hitting that level, so you draw a line connecting RSI highs, and you can see even this past 2 weeks it has hit that level, and as of right now seems to be stalling. So short term, don't expect any movement higher until the stock can clear this RSI resistance line. Muathe with Muathe.com. As always, good luck, peace, and blessings. Woo! Failed breakouts are notorious for taking stocks lower. Failed breakouts are notorious for taking stocks lower.